So welcome back to Phillip Island. I'm Nick Harris, sitting alongside me Gregory Haynes, down in pit lane Dylan Gray. MotoGP about to start.
Marquez on pole position then as the world champion for the second time in MotoGP. 12th pole of the season. Can he now take his 12th Grand Prix victory of the season? First front row on a Ducati for Cal Crutchlow. Then it's Lorenzo, winner of the last two races and winner here last year. Bradley Smith, great fourth place from Pedrosa and Aleix Espargaro. Iannone heads up row 3 from Valentino Rossi. Then it's Pol Espargaro, Dovizioso on the Ducati, Stefan Bradl and Hiroshi Ayama, who was through to Q2 for the first time.
Row 5 we have Scott Redding, Hector Barbera, Nicky Hayden, that great record here. Carol Abraham, Alvaro Bautista, happy memories here. His 200th Grand Prix start. And further back Petrucci, Demeglio, Lavati. And row 8, Brock Parks and Alex De Angelis.
So a lot to play for. We know the teams and constructors titles are up for grabs here for Honda, for Repsol Honda team. They now just wait for the grid to clear. The last few mechanics from Iota there making their way off the starting grid. We know Marquez has won already 11 times this year. Mick Doohan, the only rider to win 12 Premier Class races in a single season. He's here today watching on at his home Grand Prix is Mick Doohan. Can Marquez equal that record? Watch out for Bautista, 200th career Grand Prix start. Watch out for Rossi, 250th start in the Premier Class.
They race down the Gardner Straight into the Doohan corner.
And guys, I have to correct myself now. Crutchlow switched back onto the soft tyre, so much debating going on. So he is on the soft, so apologies to the TV guys, they got it absolutely spot on. Right. But yeah, like you say, fantastic bit of tyre war going on there today, and it's going to be so interesting to see how they last towards the end of the race, and also depending if the temperature stays constant. It's warmed up a little bit, and that could play in favour of the Hondas a tiny little bit, because they don't like it when it gets too cool, because they need to get more heat into that rear tyre. If it does get a bit cooler, then we might see the Yamaha's favoured ever so slightly.
Right, keep reminding us of those tyre choices as the race goes on, Dylan, because it could play a very big part. We ride with Pol Espargaro, pole setter and Moto2 winner for the last 2 years.
There are those temperatures then. Air temperature 16 degrees Celsius, ground temperature 30. We'll keep updating you on the air temperatures as this Grand Prix progresses. It's a 27 lap distance here, just coming up to 4 p.m. local time now. Down to the right-hander, formerly known as MG. This is turn 10. We could see a lot of drama here, as we have done in practice.
We're at Phillip Island. It's round 16 of the MotoGP World Championship. Marquez may have clinched it last week in Motegi, but look at that battle for second place. Rossi and Pedrosa tied on points. Lorenzo right behind them. This is going to be a great battle for the win, also that second place in the championship. But Marc Marquez celebrates that Grand Prix World Championship victory from pole position here at Phillip Island.
Nothing beats the energy and the tension, does it, at the start of a MotoGP race. 3 Grand Prix to go this season. We're in Sepang next weekend in Malaysia. For now then, the Australian Grand Prix tear off removed for Marc Marquez, calm as ever.
So it's 27 laps of the Phillip Island circuit. It's dry, little bit of wind about. Can Marquez equal Mick Doohan's record? Lights are red, we're underway here in Australia. Not a bad start by Marquez.
And a great start for Crutchlow, also for Jorge Lorenzo, who's going to get to the Doohan corner first. Look at Bradley Smith around the outside. Bradley Smith side by side with Lorenzo for the lead of the Australian Grand Prix. Bradley Smith made a great start here last year, equally good in 2014. He's pushing Marquez out wide as they get to the Southern Loop for the first time. Marquez goes second. He's now attacking Lorenzo on the inside. That was phenomenal. Marc Marquez passes Lorenzo on the exit of the Southern Loop.
Wow, what a start of the race through the Stoner corner. This very fast left-hander. They'll sit up and break. They're lining up the hairpin first time round. Marquez determined that Lorenzo did not get away, and Smith moves up into second place, then runs it a little bit wide.
Yes, and sat up at the same time by Valentino Rossi was Dani Pedrosa. He drops back slightly then as they came out of turn 4 for the first time. This is the left-hander of Siberia. Apologies, it's Pol Espargaro in front of Dani Pedrosa. Rossi just behind them, and there is Aleix Espargaro. Now, Crutchlow's dropped back because Crutchlow started this race from the front row. Look at Lorenzo.
Oh, what a place at the hay shed part of the circuit. Up over Lukey Heights they come. We ride with Marquez. Lorenzo wants to get him back. He can't do it at the bottom of the hill. A bit of a wobble there from Smith. Here comes Rossi.
And this time he has taken Dani Pedrosa. What a great shot back. That's Pedrosa on the right. Dovizioso just behind us. Looking back then
from Valentino Rossi. 250th Premier Class start here this afternoon. Started 8th on the grid, and he's now up there in the top 5. The two Tech 3 riders, they've got great memories of the 250 title win here from the year 2000. But Smith is third, Pol Espargaro fourth at the moment as we start the second of the 27 laps. Look at the sea in the background. They stream their way over the brow of the hill, back down to the Doohan corner. Marquez leads, then it's Lorenzo, then Smith. Slightly wide is Bradley Smith.
Yeah, it's going to be a head-to-head between Lorenzo and Marquez. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Pol Espargaro closing up on Bradley Smith as they go through the southern loop, through the Stoner corner. Rossi may have a nibble up the inside here of Pol Espargaro as they break for the hairpin turn 4 that caused a lot of problems in Moto 2 because of the wind. Here comes Rossi on the brakes. Pol Espargaro trying to go through on Bradley Smith. He's pushed him wide. Can Rossi come through as well? Smith should hold the advantage as they come up through Siberia. He does just.
Well, it's very, very Yamaha heavy at the front of the field at the moment. 4 Yamahas then in the top 5. Marquez on that breakaway Honda is getting away at the front of the field. Rossi must have thought there for a moment he may have taken both of those Tech 3 riders coming out of turn 4. Now look what's happening in the background. Pedrosa's losing so many places. Danny Pedrosa drops down now to 9th position. He's behind both Ducatis. He's behind Aleix Espargaro as well. And now Rossi attacks. Rossi through, passes Smith up to 4th.
Yeah. Classic overtaking at the bottom of Lucky Heights from Valentino Rossi. He knows better than anybody those two at the front could clear off. He's got to get past Pol Espargaro as quick as he can because Marquez and Lorenzo are setting a rare old pace at the front.
And they are clearing off indeed. Look at the gap already. Over the line they come to start the third lap between the first two, as Marquez goes quickest that time was 0.4 of a second. But then you've got a second back to these two. Rossi dispatches a Pol Espargaro immediately. Twice a Moto 2 winner here is Pol Espargaro, but he can't do anything about Rossi right now. He's got to push hard to catch those two up in front of him.
Fastest lap of the race to Marquez, 1:29.608. We ride with Valentino Rossi now in third place. Behind him is Pol Espargaro. Pol Espargaro trying to bite back at Rossi through the Stoner left-hander. Now they break for the hairpin. Marquez leads. Lorenzo. Espargaro not quite able to get onto the brakes as he tries to get up the inside of Rossi. Marquez leads the way, and Lorenzo's having to work very hard indeed to stay with him. It's almost as if Marquez says, I'm the world champion. I'm going to rub your noses in it.
And Jorge Lorenzo just wants to fight back, doesn't he? Won here last year. Won the last 2 races in Aragon. And then Motegi last weekend, what can he do? Well, he's reduced it slightly at the end of the previous lap, but he's lost time around the first half of this lap. So let's just see what they can do. Over the brow of the hill, then down to the right-hander at turn 10. Great fight going on in the background. The two Brits are now together. It's Crutchlow attacking Bradley Smith. Crutchlow made a bit of a poor start, unfortunately. He was all right off the line, but lost ground around those first 2 corners. And he's now attacking Bradley Smith for 5th and 6th position. Dovizioso is 7th, and it's Aleix Espargaro. Pedrosa's running 9th from 5th on the grid. Bradle is 10th, Iannone 11th, Bautista 12th, Hernandez, Hector Barbera and Hiroshi Oyama completing the point scoring positions.
He's increasing the lead now to almost 1 second. It's as if Marquez, the great shroud has been lifted off his shoulders and he's absolutely going for it. He has only won once here at Phillip Island. That was 4 years ago when he won that 125cc race. Yeah, Smith and Espargaro coming under a real challenge now from the Ducatis. Everybody working hard in pit lane just in case of a flag-to-flag race. I don't think there's any problems at the moment, Dylan, is there?
Well, no, obviously they would have kept those bikes in dry setup until the bikes actually started, because you never know if there's a problem on the sighting lap. You need to have bike number 2 prepped for the dry, but they are preparing it for the wet just in case this little shower does appear.
Crutchlow all over the rear wheel of Bradley Smith. And behind him he has Andrea Dovizioso, Aleix Espargaro, Danny Pedrosa and Stefan Bradl. We ride with Bradley Smith. Former teammates they may be. A great deal of love lost between them on the track. Here comes Crutchlow once again. Smith will not let him through as they race up over the top of Lucky Heights. Can he get up the inside as they break at the bottom of the corner? Smith brakes hard, Crutchlow brakes hard. Smith now closes right up on the rear wheel of Pol Espargaro. We ride with Pol Espargaro. There's Smith, there's Crutchlow.
And it's going to be tougher for Bradley Smith to pass Pol Espargaro on the brakes, because Espargaro's got that asymmetric front tyre, which is that little bit harder exactly on that fat patch where they're braking. Except, Bradley Smith isn't going to have quite the same stability under braking as Pol Espargaro.
Down the garden straight they come. Crutchlow surely is going to have a nibble this time round. Is he going to get up the inside on the brakes? Not able to do so. Smith brakes well. Dovizioso right behind Crutchlow. The gap at the front now is over 1 second. Marquez is flying. And here come the Ducatis. It's a real Tech 3 Yamaha battle against the Ducatis. At the moment, Tech 3 are on top, but the Ducatis are really battling on. And Aleix Espargaro is closing all of the time in 8th place.
Yeah, Crutchlow putting some real heat then on his former teammate. Smith had a big wobble around turn 3 last time. What about this time? Into turn 4, Crutchlow very, very committed on the brakes. Crutchlow goes through. Smith will try and dive back underneath him, but he can't. So Crutchlow goes 5th. Demotes Bradley Smith to 6th place. Dovizioso is now going to try and get in on the out, but look at them all crowding there. That's Aleix Espargaro, Pedrosa, Bradl and Iannone, all very much in this group. We're now on board with Dani Pedrosa. We're running around in 9th place. At the front it's still a second. It's hovering around a second between Marc Marquez and Jorge Lorenzo. Look at that fight at the top of the hill in front of us. Pedrosa pushing as hard as he possibly can. It's been a really difficult weekend though in general. So Crutchlow's got rid of one Tech 3 bike. What about the other? Oh, it's difficult to stop down into turn 10 this time.
Dovizioso all over Smith now, so they're fighting hard, the Ducatis. It's a Yamaha Ducati. Aleix Espargaro is going to join in the fun as well. They come through the Gardner corner, into the Gardner straight, but it's Marquez that leads the way. The gap now, he's pulled back about 0.2 of a second, Jorge Lorenzo, so this is far from over. Settled into that familiar Jorge Lorenzo rhythm, hasn't he? That is a good lap from Lorenzo. Very good lap also from Valentino Rossi in 3rd place.
Also bear in mind, with these new rear tyres, they're a lot more heat resistant than what these guys are normally used to. Obviously designed to last race distance after what happened last year, so it is going to take them that little bit longer to bring them up to temperature.
This is a terrific battle for 4th place. Crutchlow's in there at the moment, then Pol Espargaro, Bradley Smith, Dovizioso. Aleix Espargaro really knocks Bradley Smith wide. He pushes him wide, opens the door for Dovizioso to come through as well. So Smith drops 2 places, the blink of an eye.
You saw the damage in the background. Karel Abraham, the 24-year-old Czech, then is out, but Andrei Iannone has crashed as well. Karel Abraham elsewhere on the circuit. It was Iannone who was in the background out of this Australian Grand Prix. Iannone began the lap in 11th position, and there is the damaged Ducati then of the Italian. Race over, 2 riders out already. What happened? There's Iannone on the right hand side. He's up the inside of Dani Pedrosa, hits the back of Dani Pedrosa, takes Bradl out wide as well. How much damage has Dani Pedrosa's Honda sustained?
Yeah, hits the back of Dani Pedrosa, almost takes Bradl out as well. Marquez at the front, still 21.5 laps to go. Well, a little bit less now as they come down that long 900 metre start and finish straight, the Gardner straight. What is the gap now? It's back to a second. Rossi a further 9 seconds down. So Marquez is keeping it constant around a second, but there's a long, long way to go. But what a battle for Crutchlow, Espargaro, Dovizioso, Espargaro and Smith.
Pedrosa coasting. Pedrosa effectively out of this race by the looks of things with a damaged Repsol Honda's dropped right down the order now to 18th place. That was Iannone just being assisted away there by the ever efficient Phillip Island Marshals. Marquez leads. This is lap 7 of 27. Rossi's just put in once again his personal best lap of the race. Valentino Rossi then was just a 10th down on Marquez, but a 10th quicker than this man, his teammate Jorge Lorenzo, as he tries to close in for 2nd position with still 21 laps to go in this Grand Prix. There's your 1, 2, 3. Marquez, Lorenzo, Valentino Rossi.
Right along the top end of the circuit, past the hay shed, up the hill, and this spectacular Lukey Heights corner. They plunge over the top, down they go with this tight right-hander at the bottom. Marquez, Lorenzo, Rossi. Just got a glimpse there of Cal Crutchlow, who's having a superb ride in 4th place.
Well, this is the battle going on then for 5th place. Pol Espargaro, he's just in front of Andrea Dovizioso. Then it's Pol's brother Aleix. Bradley Smith, as we know, was shuffled out wide at turn 4 last time around, and he's running at the back of that particular group at the moment in 8th position. Pol Espargaro done a very good defensive job so far, as I say. Twice a Moto2 winner here from Pol in those 2 races the last 2 years. You see the Swiss cheese style fairing with the holes in the front of that fairing there for Andrea Dovizioso's red Ducati. Look at the speed advantage that Ducati's got at the end of the Gardner Straight.
That is Yoni Hernandez. Hernandez leading the way from Alvaro Bautista. I think it's Hiroshi Oyama is in there as well. Also Nicky Hayden and Alex De Angelis.
Dani Pedrosa still coasting at the back of the field. He's dropped to 21st position now. You have to imagine he'll be diving into the pit lane at the end of the lap. Here he is, Dani Pedrosa then into the pits, was hit by Iannone at turn 4. Must be getting fed up of people running into the back of him. He was hit by Karel Abraham in final free practice yesterday afternoon, and it looks as though this race is run.
Certainly is. I think that is the end of the race for Dani Pedrosa. They're immediately going to have a look at the rear end of the bike. It's his teammate Marc Marquez that leads the way. It's just around a second, the gap. It fluctuates between the different sectors, doesn't it? This is at the bottom of Lukey Heights. There is Lorenzo. Rossi is definitely closing, though, on Lorenzo.
And with Dani Pedrosa, so they haven't pitted that bike. They've left it out in pit lane. They've put in a new rear tyre, obviously assessing any kind of damage. And it does look like he's at least going to go back out again, because if Aragon showed us anything, even when things do go wrong, you never know when you can salvage vital points.
And he needs vital points as well, because that battle's raging for second in the championship. Rossi and Pedrosa are on equal points. Lorenzo only a further 3 behind. Look then up the right hand side. There's Iannone. Bang! There's the contact right at the back of Dani Pedrosa's Honda. Bradl was very, very fortunate to escape an accident himself there. And let's hope Iannone didn't take too hard a hit as he retires from this Grand Prix.
His knee, doesn't it? It was all in the same incident that Aleix Espargaro at the same time had pushed Smith right, and Dovizioso had come through.
Look at Rossi now then. Personal best laps of the race for both Lorenzo and Rossi last time round. They're 1.3 seconds behind the leader Marc Marquez, but only 0.7 of a second now between these two Yamaha riders. Make that 0.4. Look at Smith. Smith attacking Dovizioso. That's for 7th place. He's through.
Yeah, Smith fights back, then runs it wide. He should just hold the advantage. It's going to be tight. He does just hold the advantage as they come up through Siberia. There is Stefan Bradl running in 9th.
So guys, Dani Pedrosa's race is, well, they've got the bike, they're about to push it back into the box. I mean, it's not in there yet, so it's not technically over, and they've just waved it in, so yes, it is over. They popped in a new tyre. It was actually part of the bike, just part of the fairing was slightly loose. They duct taped it back to the bike, but it seems to be a team decision that they won't be heading back out again.
There's a terrific all-Yamaha battle for second place at the moment. Rossi has really closed up on Jorge Lorenzo. There is the gap progression this lap. And Rossi is close as they go down the Gardner Straight. 18 laps to go. Perhaps not quite close enough this lap, I don't know. Rossi may come from late. No. And while this goes on, Marc Marquez is opening it up at the front.
He is, but if Rossi can get past Lorenzo, it could be very, very interesting. Rossi's just set the fastest lap of the race so far. He was 1/10 of a second quicker than the race leader, Marc Marquez. Something dramatic's happened in that pack further back. Dovizioso's dropped to 7th, now taking another spot. What about Rossi though? Right with Lorenzo as they come through the Stoner corner.
Yeah, Stoner corner. Now, will he have a go at the hairpin? Rossi on the brakes up the inside of Jorge Lorenzo. We run with him and he has gone through. This is Rossi at his best. Valentino Rossi now up into second place. Can he start closing the gap on Marquez at the front?
Well, the next few laps should tell. We need to watch those lap times very, very closely. As I say, he's fastest rider on the racetrack at the moment. Looking back at Lorenzo, if he keeps up the pace he's maintained the last few laps, he'll start getting smaller and smaller, will Jorge Lorenzo. Now we look forward then on the spinning gyro cam. Where is Marc Marquez? Where is the quarry? He's up there somewhere just over the top there of Lukey Heights, back down towards turn 10. Lorenzo's going to have to try and respond immediately, but I think Rossi's just got the edge at this point of the Grand Prix. Here's the move then. It's out of the Stoner corner. Ran very, very well through there to keep the momentum up. Straight through. Clean move down the inside of turn 4. Rossi goes second. This is lap 10.
Classic Phillip Island. Poor old Dani Pedrosa, second row start, got hit by Andre Iannone when he crashed at the hairpin. Nothing he could do. That's the championship positions at the moment, so Rossi would be second in the championship. Lorenzo has something to say about that and dives up the inside of his teammate. This probably won't help them in their battle to catch Marc Marquez. They're not fussed about that. This is an important race. 1 for second place in the championship, and 2, it's your teammate, isn't it?
Marc Marquez won't be fussed about it either, because he's 1.9 seconds in the lead of this Grand Prix now with 17 laps to go. So what about Rossi? Is he going to do the same thing he did last time? Feints to the inside of the Stoner corner. He'll try and dive now to our left, up the inside of turn 4. Here he comes.
And he's done it again, and there's nothing Lorenzo can do. Well, Lorenzo may repeat his move down the Gardner Straight into the Doohan corner. It's a terrific battle between the two Yamahas. You must take nothing away from Marc Marquez. He's saying, this is why I am the world champion.
In the meantime though, Marquez has picked up another 0.2 of a second, 2.1 seconds in the lead. Now these dicing Yamahas, it's very entertaining, but Marquez is getting away, boys, at the front of the race. Crutchlow is now running 4th, by the way. Dovizioso is 5th, so Aleix Espargaro has lost another position. Pol Espargaro has now dropped to the very back of that pack, and he's 7th. Well, I say to the very back, Smith is still behind him, but Pol Espargaro has lost a hatful of places there. Now Smith has gone through. Smith goes 7th, Pol Espargaro is 8th, but this is your battle going on for second place between Rossi, who we're on board with, and a very threatening number 99 there of Jorge Lorenzo.
Yeah, this is them onto the straight. Let's have a look at those top speeds. Lorenzo beautifully placed up the inside on the brakes into the Doohan corner. Oh, what a great shot, but Rossi leaves his braking late, and Rossi still holds the advantage. The gap at the front, 2.2 seconds. All eyes now focus on this battle for second place in the race, and second place also in the World Championship. And they're telling him that Dani Pedrosa is out.
Yes, that's Jorge Lorenzo's pit board. Don't forget, they're battling for second in the championship. Pedrosa wouldn't be second, third, he'd be 4th in the championship if things stay like this. So the Yamaha boys just reminding their man there, Jorge Lorenzo, you've got to think about these World Championship points. Now, who's your bets on here? Well, it's Dovizioso. Look at the 2 Tech 3 riders. Pol Espargaro up the inside of Bradley Smith once again through turn 4. That's a great battle going on for 8th place. Side by side, 7th place make that. Pol Espargaro goes 7th now. Smith drops to 8th, and Stefan Bradl, who was almost caught up in the Pedrosa Iannone incident, has caught this train.
Yeah, Dovizioso had to work his way through the field, didn't he? Of course, he did start down in 10th place. We ride with Stefan Bradl right at the end of that group now. Currently running in 9th place, Stefan Bradl, but he's got that group in his sights. You know, and this is the battle for 5th place. So a good ride now. Smith closes up on the rear wheel of Espargaro. Bradl in turn does the same to Smith. So Dovizioso in 5th place. Aleix Espargaro 6th, back with Marc Marquez. He is running away with this one. And Valentino Rossi has just opened up a little bit of an advantage now over Jorge Lorenzo as they come down into the Doohan right-hander. There's still 15 laps to go.
Well, Lorenzo was 0.3 of a second slower than the Marc Marquez leading Honda on that particular lap. Rossi was only 0.1 slower, so now he's released. Now he's passed Jorge Lorenzo. Hopefully for his sake, he won't need to defend on this lap. We can get a real idea now of the Valentino Rossi pace as we start the 13th of the 27 laps. Still just over 14.5 laps to go, but still, Rossi's having to go defensive down into turn 4. They are battling very much for second in the championship, but their race-winning chances are decreasing all the time. The gap is now up by another 10th to 2.3 seconds.
So up through Siberia, the 2 Yamaha riders come. Both of them have good records here. This is the battle for 5th. Crutchlow running in 4th place. Dovizioso, Aleix Espargaro. His brother Pol behind him. Then Bradley Smith and Stefan Bradl.
Look at this as well. Wow, this is Scott Redding running up in front of Álvaro Bautista. It's his 200th career Grand Prix start. This is 10th. All the way down to Nicky Hayden in 16th place. So 3 great groups to watch. It's those Yamahas battling for 2nd and 3rd, then the Crutchlow all the way down to Bradl fight for 4th place, and this is the battle ranging for 10th place. Scott Redding hurt here last year, but great 10th place at the moment. Sorry, Dylan.
And interestingly enough, something we don't often see with the open class, Redding has actually gone with his harder compound, so the medium tyre, which all the factory and satellite bikes are going, and the only other one in that group of bikes to have the same is Hector Barbera on the GP14 Ducati.
And Jorge Lorenzo is back in front of Valentino Rossi. So Jorge Lorenzo would move into 2nd place in the World Championship. Rossi would be 3rd. Pedrosa, who's out of the race, in 4th.
And they've got to bear that in mind. There's your lap time comparison at the top left. Lorenzo responded that time, but Marquez put in a 29.8 while these Yamaha riders are putting in 30s. Look at Rossi back up the inside again of turn 4. Oh, it's as close as you like. Can he get the edge on the exit? Yes, he can. Rossi goes 2nd, but now the track's going to go left into Siberia.
Terrific stuff from both of them. 2 very experienced men. Obviously Rossi 9 times world champion. What's Jorge Lorenzo 4 times world champion. Absolutely at it, on the limit. Nothing asked, nothing given. And this is a tremendous battle for 2nd place, and of course all it's doing is just helping Marc Marquez at the front. Not that I think he needed any help, to be honest with you. He looks in a class of his own, but this is terrific stuff. Lynn Jarvis, the director of racing for Yamaha, looks on. He'll like this, but he would have liked it to have been the battle for the lead, wouldn't he?
He certainly will. They're battling over second place in this Grand Prix. Let's not forget Cal Crutchlow either. We're not seeing much of him because he's doing so well in the race. He's in a very lonely 4th place. 5 seconds behind these two, but 4 seconds in front of his teammate Andrea Dovizioso on a Ducati, which has far less upgrades. Back down to turn 1. Now then, he sits behind him this time. I think Rossi's just going to follow Lorenzo all the way through the Doohan corner, all the way through the southern loop, and then see if he can dive up the inside of turn 4. Further back, a perhaps slightly different game plan for the likes of Pol Espargaro and Bradley Smith here.
Yes, Aleix Espargaro has gotten in front of Dovizioso. Smith runs it a little bit wide there. Bradl is there, so there's Dovizioso. Pol Espargaro on the outside, then it's Smith, and then it's Bradl. But big and good move by Aleix Espargaro. Back with the 2 Yamahas. And there's no way through at turn 4 that time round for Valentino Rossi. Rossi rips a rip-off visor off as they come through the hairpin. Wow, it's pretty hot here. The 2 Tech 3 Yamahas, and Smith gets pushed very, very wide indeed, and Bradl has come through, and Pol Espargaro has now got through on Dovizioso.
Yeah, Smith hung out to dry once again there, unfortunately. Pol Espargaro, as you say, is past Dovizioso. He's then up into 6th place, so the 2 brothers might now go head-to-head. And remember, they're absolutely together in the World Championship as well, for 6th overall. And this is a big day, actually, for them, because with Andrea Iannone out of the race, who is 8th in the World Championship, they really could cement their stranglehold on 6th place. Aleix is currently only 1 point ahead of Pol Espargaro. Bad news, though, unfortunately, for the home rider. Brock Parks has just dived into the pit lane.
Here's Marc Marquez. Haven't seen a lot of him. We haven't seen a lot of him because he's dominated this race at the front. There will be 11 laps to go. All the interest on this all Yamaha battle between Valentino Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo. Rossi late on the brakes, but he can't get in there. Marquez's advantage at the front, really 3.5 seconds. 1, he's riding quite brilliant in the front, and these 2 are swapping paint the whole time.
Well, Jorge Lorenzo, remember how badly this year started off. He was so distant in the championship. A lot of people still said that you just wait later in the year, he'll still finish 2nd in this championship. Well, it might well happen. But look at Rossi, look at the corner speed he can carry there through the Stoner corner. Is he committed enough on the brakes? Well, the problem for Rossi is Lorenzo's also committed enough. Slightly wide, slightly different line. But for now, Lorenzo holds the advantage.
We ride with Lorenzo back for this terrific battle for 5th place. So it's Aleix Espargaro, Pol Espargaro, Dovizioso, Bradl and Smith.
Well, it's anyone's place, this one, isn't it? Anyone's 5th place, to be honest with you. Can Aleix Espargaro break away from the group? Well, he can't quite yet because he's only 0.4 of a second up the road. We're looking back, though, in the meantime, from Pol Espargaro's bike. What about these 2 Yamaha riders? Lorenzo 2nd, Rossi is 3rd. What about Marc Marquez? If you're just switching on, yes, he is leading this Grand Prix. He's 3.4 seconds up the road.
Rossi getting as close as he can now to Lorenzo as they come onto the Gardner Straight. He knows if he can just get a little bit of a pull, a bit of a slipstream, he may be able to take him down at the Doohan corner. He's beautifully placed here, Rossi now. Rossi will come out of the slipstream. Here he comes up the inside. I don't know if there's anything Lorenzo can do. Certainly does. Leaves it that little bit later. Swoops in 4th gear through the Doohan curve. Rossi says, right, southern loop. Let's get through here quick. Let's get through the Stoner corner quick and then line him up for the hairpin. But Lorenzo will know he's coming.
In a moment, he's just going to pounce, isn't he, Dylan?
And guys, just a word on fourth place man Cal Crutchlow. Because the Ducatis are able to run with the medium tyres, so that's their harder option. We're probably not going to see the kind of drop-offs that we might expect from some of the guys. Obviously, Aleix Espargaro, he's gone out on that softer option rear tyre. So Cal Crutchlow, if he can keep up this constant pace, he could certainly cement that 4th place for himself. And you might be wondering, why is he doing so well? Word from the Ducati camp is that they've now just stopped trying to play around with setup and find the best kind of setup. They're just leaving the bike and just letting him ride on pretty much the same machine day in, day out, and that's certainly paying off.
Rossi's through, then here he comes up the inside of turn 4 replay. We're watching Lorenzo out wide that time, and Rossi is back through into 2nd place. The problem is Marquez is now 4 seconds up the road in front of these 2 battling Yamaha riders. There is your race leader. Even if Marquez will start be closed in on now by Valentino Rossi, the gap is enormous with 10 laps to go. There's your confirmation. It says Lorenzo Rossi. Actually, boys, it's the other way around now.
Yeah, but it changed rather before with the board. There is it's not the length, isn't it, of the Gardner Straight, but a World Championship winning display from Marquez. What a tremendous battle, though, between the 2 Yamahas. Rossi in front of Lorenzo.
Great stuff as well from Cal Crutchlow. 4th position in this Grand Prix. Let's just put this into perspective. We know Dovizioso's out there on the 14.2. Andre Iannone was as well before he crashed. Crutchlow on the GP14 with no updates since after the summer break, and he's up there in fully dry conditions from the front of the grid, 4th in the Grand Prix, and now 5 seconds almost in front of this group battling for 5th place. So it's Aleix Espargaro with a little bit of a buffer there, but it looks as though his younger brother is now closing in. Behind him is Dovizioso. Then it's Bradl, who is running ahead of Bradley Smith. Here comes Dovizioso. Can Smith take advantage of this situation?
He's had it done to him a couple of times then. He's got pushed out, hasn't he? And people have come through. Fortunately, it didn't work for him that time round. Dovizioso has got past Bradl. This, I think, will run the whole race, though, don't you? I don't think we're going to get an outcome of this until the final lap of the race. It's a tremendous battle for 5th place. As you say, don't take anything away from Cal Crutchlow as well.
Oh, and one of the Hondas, that's Marquez. That is Marc Marquez, the race leader. Crashes out of the Australian Grand Prix on lap 18 from a 4.1 second lead. Can you believe it?
Marc Marquez has crashed here in Australia. He's trying to get back in the race. He's not going to win on his own. A massive advantage. And now those two Yamahas are battling for a race victory. That is down at the bottom of Lukey Heights, I think.
Yes, it is. That's quite a high speed off for Marquez. And the front end just snapped away from him. I can't believe what we're seeing. He was on course for a record 12th equaling win of the season. Listen to this. And it's goodbye. Marquez crashes out of the race. Jorge Lorenzo then second. Valentino Rossi finds himself in the lead. It's a Yamaha 1-2.
Amazing. He looked like he was running on rails in that race, didn't he? But Marc Marquez is out of the race here in Australia. What's that? His 3rd crash in 4 races for the world champion. Valentino Rossi could return to winning ways here at Phillip Island. Is there anything Jorge Lorenzo can do?
I mean, this is so interesting because the temperature has dropped since we've been on the starting grid. We haven't had that kind of sun. The wind feels a little bit chillier. Remember what front tyre Marquez was on. He lost it going into that right-hander, so he was on that slightly harder front tyre than the Yamaha guys.
Both Repsol Hondas out of the race. Who on earth would have predicted that? It's a Yamaha 1-2. We've got Crutchlow on target, would you believe, for a 2nd podium finish in 3 Grand Prix. Brilliant stuff from Cal Crutchlow. Aleix Espargaro now 4th. Everybody moves up a spot, obviously. Pol Espargaro 5th. Dovizioso 6th, and it's Smith, Bradl, Redding now 9th then from Bautista. Barbara is 11th, Anand is 12th, Hayden, DeAngelis and Hiroshi Ayama inside the points. It's looking good for Rossi. Look at the lap times.
Yes,
he's 3 tenths quicker.
I tell you what, he's got the sense of victory in his nostrils. Valentino Rossi has, chasing his 7th win here at Phillip Island. It would be his 6th MotoGP win here, and he's on the charge, is the doctor. And that was an amazing mistake by Marquez. It was so easy for him at the front. I don't know, lack of concentration. Seemed to get into Lukey Heights very, very hard, didn't he? So Aleix Espargaro, Pol Espargaro, Andrea Dovizioso, Bradley Smith and Stefan Bradl. This battle now for 4th place could go absolutely any way.
Oh, and Aleix Espargaro slightly unawares there. We're just removing a tear off, and his brother dives up the inside of the Stoner corner. That was committed stuff. Pol Espargaro goes 4th. Now then, what do you do if you're Aleix Espargaro? They're all over the place. Bradl contact! Bradl hits the back of Aleix Espargaro. That would have damaged the back of the forward racing machine. Those two collided at Indianapolis. They've done it again in the Australian Grand Prix. Debris in the middle of the track as well.
Stefan Bradl has gone down. We ride now with Jorge Lorenzo. I think we're trying to have a look now at Marc Marquez as well. Right, this is Lorenzo.
Well, it's all kicking off here, isn't it?
It is, and there you can see Valentino Rossi. It is interesting what they say. And they're telling now Jorge Lorenzo that Marquez is out of the race.
So this will cement Rossi's stranglehold on 2nd position in this World Championship. Lorenzo will go 3rd. Pedrosa, who's out of this race, would obviously drop to 4th place. Both Repsol Honda riders out of the race. So how's this going to shuffle up the order now with all these dramas? I wonder how much damage that forward machine of Aleix Espargaro has.
There is Marc Marquez. He's okay, that's the main thing. But as we say, 3 crashes in 4 races. Stefan Bradl is okay. That's good news as well. Refuses the stretcher. But yeah, he did bash into the back of Aleix Espargaro. Keep an eye on that one. Here they come. We're going to watch it again. Oh, he really did hit. And I tell you, Dovizioso did well and Smith did well to avoid that.
Yes, and look at the back of Aleix Espargaro's bike. He is now dropping back through the field, and this is why. Look at the damage. That's not a runner. That'll be out of the race. And Stefan Bradl's certainly out of the race. You're right. Smith and Dovizioso did a brilliant job there.
And he's out. He's out, and he's so unhappy. He has smashed the screen with his fist. Aleix Espargaro out of the race. He can't believe it. I don't know if Valentino Rossi can believe it, but he could win again at Phillip Island. He has 6.5 laps to go. He's pulling away from Jorge Lorenzo. This is now Rossi's race to lose, but he will be aware of what happened to Marc Marquez just here when he had over 4 seconds advantage in the race.
And look at the lap times. Cal Crutchlow was the quickest of the top 3 last time round. He's 5.5 seconds behind the leader, 3.2 seconds behind this man Jorge Lorenzo, who's second in the race. There is that gap confirmed, top left of the screen. I tell you what, Aleix Espargaro's got to be pretty strong to break one of those screens. His brother's now 4th. Brilliant day for Tech 3 with Bradley Smith up there in 5th place. There's your situation in the World Championship then. Rossi would be up there 8 points in front of Jorge Lorenzo, in a costly afternoon for Dani Pedrosa.
Well, Cal Crutchlow, he may be waving goodbye to Ducati, but he's bringing them podium finishes. Podium in Aragon. Looks like he's on the podium here at Phillip Island. 5.5 laps to go for the British rider, who leaves Ducati, enjoys LCR Honda. Well, for the test in Valencia. Here is Lorenzo in 2nd place. There's nothing he can do, I don't think, and he's now coming under a tiny bit of pressure from Crutchlow. That's the gap visually as they break for the hairpin with 5.5 laps to go.
It's been a difficult year, we all know, for Cal Crutchlow, but this is a fantastic performance. He's got his mojo back. Not that he ever lost it, but we know he was injured at Austin earlier on in the season, had to miss the Grand Prix of Argentina. There was another crash then, if you remember, because of a technical problem in the Spanish Grand Prix at Jerez. But in fully dry weather conditions, Crutchlow is absolutely flying. Look at the gap, it's down to 1.3 seconds now.
He's just pulling in, you know, metre by metre, isn't he? You've got to say Lorenzo is fighting to hang in there at the moment to 2nd place. And Crutchlow closing all the time, now at the bottom of Lukey Heights. He has finished here 2nd previously, Cal Crutchlow. He loves Phillip Island. He was, 3rd here in 2012, 2 years ago, so it would be his 2nd podium finish. There is Lorenzo, there is Crutchlow. The gap, when they come over the start and finish line, could be well under 1 second.
It could. It was 2.2 seconds when they started the lap. It is now only half a second. Can you believe it? That's remarkable. That's almost 2 full seconds in 1 lap for Cal Crutchlow. He's absolutely flying. Head in hands then for Lucy, the wife, unsurprisingly. Look at all those names out of the race as well, down the bottom left of your screen. Only 16 riders left in this race. At this rate, everyone who finishes will be scoring points. Michael Laverty is now in the points for PBM.
And Crutchlow closing up on Lorenzo. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when, isn't it? He's lining him up at the hairpin. Here comes Cal Crutchlow up the inside of Lorenzo, and he is through. Crutchlow into 2nd place. Lorenzo relegated to 3rd. Rossi is going to win here at Phillip Island. Marquez has crashed.
Don't forget, Crutchlow is on the soft compound front tyre. Jorge Lorenzo on the extra soft front compound tyre. So Crutchlow through. What is the gap to Valentino Rossi? It's 5.3 seconds. Let's monitor it very carefully. That would be a second a lap. Surely that can't happen. Even so, what a performance it is from Cal Crutchlow. On board then with the race leader.
Be interesting what this board tells of Valentino Rossi, won't it? Here he is coming up into the first part of these double left-handers. Coming into the Gardner Straight. There would be 4 laps to go for Rossi.
Don't forget
his 6th MotoGP victory at Phillip Island. The crowd will love it. 250 not out there holding up. It's his 250th MotoGP appearance. Right, what's the gap? I'd say he's very safe indeed, wouldn't you? 6.2 seconds between Rossi and Crutchlow.
Yeah, Crutchlow was slightly quicker. Cal Crutchlow's really in the groove now, but yeah, 250 Premier Class appearances for Rossi. Don't forget as well, he started this race 8th on the grid. Pol Espargaro on board with him now. Brilliant performance, 4th. He'll be moving up then in this World Championship to 6th, ahead of his brother, if it stays like this. Bradley Smith behind them. There's Smith in 5th place. Now further back, this is Bautista in his 200th career Grand Prix start across the 3 World Championship classes. He's running around in 7th place now. Hector Barbera is 8th. Barbera attacking Bautista for 7th. They're both in front now then of Scott Redding.
It's been an amazing race, hasn't it? All the way down the field there's been some terrific battles. The big shock, Marc Marquez crushing out seemingly on rails and going to win the race comfortably. This is good stuff. Batista here comes Redding up the inside of Barbara at the hairpin and gets past Hector Barbara.
And I tell you what, Pol Espargaro might be on for a very first MotoGP podium today. He's just taken 0.7 of a second out of Jorge Lorenzo in one sector. Look at the gap, top left of the screen. It was 5 seconds. What is it this time? 4.6. He's catching him hand over fist.
For 3.5 laps to go. It's not going to be easy. There is Alex De Angelis, his teammate. Of course, Aleix Espargaro out of the race. Rossi crosses the line. 3 to go. Coming onto that back straight, we just got a glimpse there of Cal Crutchlow and Jorge Lorenzo. And they're telling Lorenzo that Espargaro is coming. I don't know if they say which Espargaro it is.
And the interesting thing is, obviously, in those top 4 now, Rossi has that extra soft front tyre, Crutchlow with the soft, Lorenzo with the extra soft, but Pol Espargaro has the asymmetric soft front tyre.
Right, we ride with Pol Espargaro, winner here last year and the year before in Moto2, having the MotoGP ride of his career. Don't forget, it is his first season in MotoGP. There we are, confirmation of what Dylan was telling us about those tyre choices.
Oh, and Pol Espargaro down, he's lost it. Any chance of a podium's gone now. That's into turn 4. Bradley Smith will go 4th in this race.
Pol Espargaro, both Espargaros show their emotion. One smashes the screen with his fist. The younger one just buries his helmet in his hands. Espargaro out at turn 4. He is okay. Bradley Smith now up into 4th place. There's 2.5 laps to go. Don't blink, because something could still happen.
Here we go. Watch number 44. Front end just disappears.
Happened to him in practice, didn't it?
Certainly did. Airbag suit will obviously go off. What a shame. He was chasing his first podium finish in MotoGP. There it goes. Rear wheel lifts off the ground as well as he tries to stop it from happening. Left hand still on the clutch lever at that point. Look at the damage as that bike scrapes along. Valentino Rossi leads then into the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix. Crutchlow 6.1 seconds behind. It's comfortable for Rossi in the lead. It's comfortable for Crutchlow in 2nd place. Then it's Lorenzo, but Bradley Smith, well, he's 3.6 behind Lorenzo. It should be okay now.
It should be all right, shouldn't it? But don't say it should, because so much has happened in this race. Valentino Rossi. He loves Phillip Island. We all remember the day he took the sheet from the hotel and put that number 7 in tribute to Barry Sheene when he won the race here. Then Casey Stoner came along and won 6 in a row. But Rossi now could be back on the top step of the podium at Phillip Island. What a ride by Cal Crutchlow on the Ducati in 2nd place.
And in a Honda-dominated season, on a day on which they could have clinched both world titles for teams and constructors, this could well be a 4th win in a row for the Yamaha factory team. It would be Rossi's 82nd in MotoGP, the 108th of his Grand Prix career. Just 1.5 laps to go. Now there's your live gap for Smith and Lorenzo at the top there. 4/10. It's not going to be enough though. There's only 1.5 laps left in this race. And now we do have the very unusual situation of every single rider who will finish this race will score World Championship points.
Super performance by Bradley Smith. Got pushed out wide a couple of times at the hairpin. People crashing all around him. He's kept his head. That's why I don't think he'd push on too hard against after Lorenzo. He knows. 1 lap to go for Rossi. 1 lap away from victory here at Phillip Island into the Doohan corner. And what a performance by Cal Crutchlow in 2nd place.
Here we go then. There's been some special days here for Valentino Rossi. Remember 2004 when he won that first world title with Yamaha. He didn't need to pass Gibernau in that race, but he did. Went on to win again in 2005. But it's been those 9 years since Rossi last won here at Phillip Island.
Valentino Rossi through the southern loop up towards the Stoner corner. He is loving every single minute of this. It'll be entertaining to talk to him later, won't it? And you'll be doing that, Greg.
Remember how patient he was as well when he was attacking Jorge Lorenzo early in the race. Crutchlow down!
Oh, Crutchlow's gone down!
From 2nd.
Crutchlow down, so Bradley Smith could find himself on the podium. Cal Crutchlow has gone down! Oh, what a race! It's all happening out there. Crutchlow down and out. Lorenzo up into 2nd. Bradley Smith now in 3rd place. We ride with Valentino Rossi down at Lucky Heights.
He's going to want to be ever so careful with the attrition we've seen here this afternoon. This is unbelievable. It's a Yamaha 1-2. Make that a Yamaha 1-2-3 now with Bradley Smith up there on the podium. Let's just watch Rossi first of all, though. This is turn 12.
The doctor Australia stands to salute Valentino Rossi. Valentino Rossi wins here at Phillip Island.
Amazing Grand Prix. It's his 250th Premier Class Grand Prix, and he's just as good as he always was. Rossi does it in Australia. Here comes Lorenzo and Bradley Smith. They will be going mad back in Oxford. He's on the podium for the first time ever in the Premier Class. Brilliant. Dovizioso fourth, and can you believe it, Hector Barbera will finish fifth on the Avintia Ducati. What a mixed up Grand Prix, and what can you say? What disappointment. Look at this battle. It's Barbera, it's Redding, it's Bautista. Barbera does finish fifth, Bautista sixth in his 200th career Grand Prix start. Scott Redding seventh to lead the customer Honda battle from Ariana De Angelis, who started at the very back of the grid, and Nicky Hayden 10th. Only 14 finishers, would you believe, from the 23 starters.
Wow. We knew that drama would go all the way to the end, and poor old Cal Crutchlow right at the end there, Valentino Rossi. He's done it again, hasn't he? Just don't rule him out. Great ride. What happened to Marc Marquez crashing out with such a big lead? So much incident, and just compounded on that last lap when Cal Crutchlow looked to be in a safe second place and went down. You take advantage of whatever happens. Valentino Rossi knows that better than anybody else. 250 MotoGP races, and he's won here at Phillip Island.
As you said in the Grand Prix itself, Nick, sixth Premier Class win then here on the island. That's amazing. You couldn't have scripted that, could you?
You just couldn't have done. You most certainly could not have scripted that one. And you just knew something was probably going to happen on the last lap, didn't you? Because it was happening all the time. Some were mistakes when riders clashed with each other. Others, Marc Marquez, we didn't see what happened to Cal Crutchlow. We're just about to find out. I think this is at the hairpin on the last lap, front end.
Both turn four again.
Yeah, both under braking there, and remember, both those guys we just mentioned beforehand, they were on the tyre one step harder.
Oh. Wow. Need to lie down in a dark room, I think, at the moment. That was some race. And it's a different type of race, wasn't it? It just brings up so much.
Hector Barbera into Parc Ferme as well as the leading opener, and Hector Barbera's finished this race inside the top five. Bradley Smith on the podium, Yamaha 1, 2, 3. Can I just say as well, if you're a marshal here at Phillip Island watching this race back, well done, because you've had such a busy weekend.
You have. Well done, Valentino Rossi. 250th MotoGP race, his second win of the season. That was absolutely superb. I think, well, there you go, Rossi now leading the way in that battle for second place in the championship. I don't think that will be on his mind one single bit. Jorge Lorenzo looks really disappointed. Obviously a problem tyre-wise, you would think, for Jorge Lorenzo.
And just proving the calibre of Lorenzo, really, the fact he kept that one on the road and got it home to second place in this Grand Prix, but he was 11 seconds behind Rossi in the end. Bradley Smith closed right in through only 1.4 seconds behind Lorenzo, another lap or two, and he may have even been second in the race. Not that he'll be complaining about third. Valentino Rossi, though, amazing stuff. It's his 20th season in the Premier Class next year, and he's still up there, 35 years of age. I think the only way you can really gauge just how good he is by seeing how good Marc Marquez is when he's 35.
Well, Lorenzo is very disappointed. It's a second place. It's something he couldn't really battle, could he? And once Rossi had gone past, and once Marquez had got in the lead as well, you can just see by his face, Wilco Zeelenberg's face. There's the kangaroo. Here come the crowd. They're treated to an Australian victory by Valentino Rossi. Well done, Bradley Smith, his first podium in MotoGP, and he had to fight off the likes of Dovizioso and all the other crashes all around him.
Yeah, and that is no fluke for Bradley Smith either, because he was rapid in qualifying. Don't forget, he may have dropped back in this race, but he started it fourth on the grid. He missed out on the front row by only 6,000. In fact, you know what? He missed out on only second place on the grid by a few hundredths of a second. So Bradley Smith has had the pace all weekend long here. Yes, it's true, the Hondas have been struggling. It did look quite Yamaha favourable, didn't it, coming into the race? But even so, you've got to be in it to win it. That was amazing stuff.
This championship never ceases to amaze you. Round 16, another extraordinary race. Rossi wins from Lorenzo. Bradley Smith's first ever podium in MotoGP. Then Dovizioso, Hector Barber, Alvaro Bautista, Scott Redding, Hiroshi Oyama and Alex D'Angelis. The big news, Marquez was leading by over 4 seconds when he crashed out at the bottom of Lucky Heights. Nicky Hayden picks up some really hard-earned points. Yoni Hernandez, Danilo Petrucci, Michael Lafferty, Mike DiMeglio. And that's it, 14 finishers. Look at the fallers, Crutchlow and Espargaro. Marquez was the really big faller. Danny Pedrosa got hit by Andrea Iannone when he went down. Also, cruel luck for Aleix Espargaro. He was hit by Stefan Bradl when he went down.
Just as he was at Indianapolis when he was hit by Stefan Bradl. This is what it does then for the Riders' World Championship with 2 Grand Prix to go in Malaysia and Valencia. Marquez, as we know, he's wrapped it up already. How close might they be to him at the end of the season? It's a 57-point lead now. Rossi looking very good for 2nd overall. Lorenzo 3rd. Bad day for Pedrosa. Drops from 2nd to 4th in the World Championship. Then it's pretty much status quo. Dovizioso still his lonely 5th from Aleix and Paul Espargaro. Smith is now ahead of Andrea Iannone for 8th in the Riders' standings, and Bradl completes the top 10. Don't forget Leon Camier scored a point earlier on in the season. Seems a long time ago now. So much drama has happened since then. And there he is then. Bradley Smith is on the podium for the first time in MotoGP.
Yeah, his 2nd podium at Phillip Island. He was 2nd here 5 years ago in the 125cc race. I suspect he can't believe it. There's so much was happening all around him, but you keep your head when that happens, don't you? And he got knocked back a couple of times and fought his way back. I think Lynn Jarvis is smiling. Yamaha 1, 2, 3. I would think that would do very nicely. Thank you very much. Hello, Japan. Can we put a bit more money into the teams, please?
Amazing stuff, and it's the second 1-2 of the year as well for the factory team. The first was at Misano. That one was won by Rossi as well. That's what I was saying in the race, though. Yamaha's won the last 4 races. Watch this.
This is the moment of the race. Front end, wasn't it?
He had a 4-second lead at the time. It's down into turn 10.
Are you still watching, Dylan?
I can't see a screen. It's basically like Misano down here with the Rossi winning the pitch invasion.
Yeah. We're just watching Marquez go down, losing the front end. I mean,
but you know what?
Such a big advantage.
Look, I've been chatting with people here in Parc Ferme, and the guys that went down in that corner, they had this asymmetric front, and it's that one step harder, and it has been getting that tiny little bit colder. So, you imagine they would have done a lot of left-hand corners just before getting there, and that right shoulder, even before getting onto the softer part, would have been that little bit colder than on the extra soft front.
Well done, Jorge Lorenzo. Sort out Valentino Rossi. Congratulate him with his race win. He's very disappointed, Lorenzo. It'll be interesting when he speaks to you, Greg, what he has to say. Obviously was a problem. There we go. Repsol Honda. Movistar Yamaha are not giving up the fight, are they? Nil points for Marquez and Pedrosa today.
Yes,
and 1 and 2 for the Yamaha factory team.
I know they've inflicted huge damage though. It was an 85-point advantage before the race, and now look at that, down to 40-odd points. All Repsol Honda needed to do today was outscore the Yamaha factory team by 5 points. They certainly didn't do that.
They were unlucky with the Pedrosa incident,
yes,
but Marquez, I'd say rider error. It's just interesting what we hear about the tyre. And here we go, same story, of course, with the Constructors' Championship. There's just one rider scores points, so Valentino Rossi brings a maximum for Yamaha, and Honda don't score any at all with the factory team.
A disaster actually for Honda. They only scored, the leading Honda was Alvaro Bautista in 6th position. That'll be 10 World Championship points, so 15 they catch up by there to bring that advantage down, Yamaha, to 45 points from 60. There is your track invasion. Dylan Gray's in the middle of that carnage somewhere.
We'll find him a bit later, and what a day we've had here at Phillip Island. How can you not enjoy Grand Prix motorcycle racing? Amazing Moto 3 and Moto 2 races, and then, if you blinked in this race, something happened, didn't it? Good things, bad things, everything. And then, just to crown it all, Valentino Rossi wins the race.
And there's your tyre combination, so it's the extra soft front compound for both of them. So same tyre combination with the medium on the rear.
Yeah, it was the front tyre, Dylan, if you're still there, that was causing the crashes, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, exactly. It was braking into that right-hander. Look at the corner combinations provide very, very long left down the straight. Then yes, you've got a right, but mainly braking. Then a very, very, very long left. Then Stoner corner a left, and then it's this hard braking zone into the right.
But people will be saying though, why did Lorenzo struggle so bad when Rossi didn't? Bearing in mind it was the same combination.
We're going to find that out in a minute, I would think, because there's obviously something very much wrong with Lorenzo, and you could just tell by his face how disappointed he was. So Aleix Espargaro leads away in the open class. Scott Redding, Hiroshi Oyama, Nicky Hayden, and nice to see Michael Lafferty picking up some points. He deserves it. And Mike DiMeglio, they soldier on. They didn't crash, others did. They deserve the points.
Yeah, you've got to be in it to win it, as they say. To finish first, you first have to finish, and so on. This is the incident between Iannone and Pedrosa earlier in the race. There's the touch into turn 4. Iannone, as you can see, very much out. Pedrosa had to retire into the pit lane. Look, incidents involving Pedrosa and Iannone on lap 6, and Bradl and Aleix Espargaro on lap 20 to be reviewed.
Yeah, what can they do now, to be honest? Well, they can take some penalise them in some way. I don't know. It's into that hairpin. It's pretty hairy there. Ooh, Bradl really did bash into the back of Aleix Espargaro though, didn't he? Really hit him hard. Let's have a look at it again. Here we go.
What's the white bike on the left? So he's dived at the inside of Dovizioso. So sits Dovizioso first of all. Smith on the outside. There was nothing Aleix Espargaro could have done there.
There's not. But he seemed to be clean through on Dovizioso, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was just got in there too hot. Let's let race you watch this. This is what happens when you fail to finish a race when it's not your fault. Aleix Espargaro just cannot believe it, and he causes further damage to the bike.
Yeah, it's the second time he's been involved in the collision with Bradl.
Yeah, that's nice to see Hector Barbera in there as well, isn't it? The first of the open bikes. There's a guy that's won 125 in 250cc Grand Prix, had some horrendous injuries. There you go. He stayed on, and he's the open class winner here in Phillip Island.
And not just the open class winner, but he's 5th in the Grand Prix outright.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
He was 30 seconds behind, but he was 5th. He finished in the top 5 this afternoon. Did Hector Barbera from 14th on the grid. Great stuff for Bautista. You have to feel for him as well. So many struggles with the rear tyre spinning this year, particularly this weekend. He finishes his 200th career race in 6th place. Scott Redding 7th, so he's the leading customer Honda from Hiroshi Oyama. De Angelis from the very back of the grid fought all the way up to 9th. Hayden 10th. Then it was Hernandez, Petrucci, Laverty and DiMeglio picking up 2 points. There's Bruce, Kangaroo in the background. I think he's called Bruce, isn't he?
Well, everything's packed up tonight. You won't believe the activity. You think this is hectic. Everything packed up. 3 jumbo jets of equipment will be flying out to Malaysia tomorrow. Pol Espargaro. Big crash just going in again to turn 4.
Guys, I'm just down here in Parc Ferme with Massimo Meregali from Yamaha Mayo. Fantastic result for you guys. Jorge didn't look so happy coming in there, seemed to be dropping off the time. Did he tell you guys what the problem is?
Yeah, the front tire basically is completely finished, and he never dropped during the practices. We are also, honestly, I was worried about this problem with Vale. But anyway, for us, a part of this problem has been a really good weekend. We knew that we could be fast here. Unfortunately, Marquez crashed for himself, but for us, it's a really great result. 3 Yamaha on the podium. It's a long time ago, happened last time.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot for that, Mayo.
Chuck Miller looks on. What a Moto3 race we've had. We're not going to tell you anything else. We've had 3 unbelievable races. So here we go, on to the podium. What a roar he will get. His 250th MotoGP race. And of course, he had to win it. And of course, he did win it. Valentino Rossi wins. Jorge Lorenzo in 2nd place. And Bradley Smith, for the first time in his career, on a MotoGP podium after finishing 3rd.
There's Mick Doohan in there. Legend in his own right, particularly in this part of the world. Jorge Lorenzo perhaps just explaining what happened there. Such a fine line between staying on the track and going off it. Look at Bradley Smith's face on the podium for the first time. He kept his head as well when he dropped down to, what was it, about 8th place at one point.
He got knocked wide a couple of times at the hairpin. Others were crashing all around him. And it's easy to say, that's what you have to do in this situation. So here we go. One would imagine Lynn Jarvis. Is Lynn Jarvis going out there for Yamaha? I think he should, really. There's McDoohan in the background. Congratulations to Valentino Rossi, 2 great world champions. Bradley Smith for the first time on the podium in MotoGP. Second place, Jorge Lorenzo. But on his 250th MotoGP appearance, Valentino Rossi wins here at Phillip Island in Australia. So Lynn Jarvis from Yamaha receives the Constructors' Trophy. Not hard to work that one out, is it? 1, 2, 3. And Bradley Smith on the MotoGP podium for the very first time. 3rd place for the rider from Oxford. McDoohan making the presentation to Jorge Lorenzo in 2nd place. Shake of the hands also to Valentino Rossi and Bradley Smith. But his 6th Premier Class win here at Phillip Island, his 250th MotoGP race. Valentino Rossi wins here at Phillip Island in Australia. For that crowd, it could have been an Australian rider winning the race, couldn't it? Congratulations to Valentino Rossi. Congratulations to Yamaha. No time to celebrate, although there'll be some celebrations in Cows tonight, I can tell you, with Valentino Rossi and his team. Next stop, Sepang in Malaysia.
Australian Motorcycle Grand Prix. Once again, Valentino.
What a day of racing.
Remarkable. 1, 2, 3 for Yamaha. Second 1-2 result of the season for the factory team. Yamaha's won the last 4 Grand Prix now.
And well, you've got to think for poor old Cal Crutchlow, was running second and crashed out on that last lap. Marc Marquez had over 4-second advantage and crashed also in the race. Hector Barber's already joined us. What a performance by him. 5th place and top open class rider. The others I think would take a bit longer. I think there's a fair bit of champagne flowing. All onto the podium they come. All in the right colours. Yamaha 1, 2, 3. The boss of Yamaha racing up there as well. I would think that will be a very happy picture back in Japan. So this round 16 is 2 to go. Comparatively short flight, certainly in these flyaways. We arrive in Kuala Lumpur tomorrow evening, ready for the Malaysian Grand Prix, round 17 of the championship at that magnificent circuit in Sepang. If it's anything like today, get your televisions tuned in, ready to go.
Going to enjoy this one. Last one here at Phillip Island, then in 2005 he's going to throw that knee slider out into the crowd. Somebody's going to get lucky now. Boomerang style.
Yeah, it was a boomerang. It'd come back and he'd catch it again, wouldn't it? But yeah. Congratulations to Valentino Rossi. The riders now making their way into the television interview set where they will be talking to Greg. Everything just goes a little bit quieter, and I think Phillip Island, probably not tomorrow, by Tuesday, we'll be back to its tranquil delight. Such a fabulous place. The weather has remained dry. We've seen 3 absolute world-class races in Moto3, Moto2, and now MotoGP. Just a bit of icing on the cake on his 250th MotoGP appearance. Valentino Rossi wins at Phillip Island.
Let's not forget, he started this race from 8th on the grid, 8th position in the middle of that third row. And making their way towards the television interview set, which is where we are. You can probably hear the cheers in the background. They're in the room now.
Riders making their way in, crowds making their way home. I don't think they'll forget round 16 of the MotoGP World Championship in a hurry here at Phillip Island. What a Moto3 race, Moto2, and then victory for Valentino Rossi here in his 250th MotoGP appearance. If you've enjoyed this one, look forward to Sepang in 7 days' time. Riders sort themselves out. Any moment now, they will be talking to Greg. I hope you enjoyed Australia as much as we have.
And so it's the top 3 finishes in the 2014 Tissot Australian Grand Prix. Third for Monster Yamaha Tech 3 is Bradley Smith. Second for Movistar Yamaha MotoGP, Jorge Lorenzo. And winning for the second time this year, Valentino Rossi for Movistar Yamaha MotoGP. Well, Valentino, this is your 250th Premier Class race here this afternoon. You've won 82 of them now. You started 8th on the grid. What a day.
Yes, it's fantastic because coming after a great race. Unfortunately, I have to start behind, but I know that I had a quite good pace, quite good setting. But on the second corner, when I saw already Mark and Jorge in front, and I was still 6, I say, wow, will be hard. But anyway, after I was able to overtake, I was fast. I was third behind Jorge, but it was very difficult. I tried to focus a lot on him, tried to gain a little bit, but at one moment I started to gain. I was a little bit faster, and when I arrived was a great battle because we overtake a lot of time. But today I was a little bit faster, so I was able to stay in front. And Mark was not too far, but was already like 2 seconds. So I tried to stay focused for the second place because it's very important for the championship. But after I saw Mark crash, and after was great because come back on the first position here at the island. That is one of the best and more important track and beautiful track of the season. After 10 years from my last victory is a great achievement.
Very well done to you, Valentino. Moving across then to Jorge. Jorge, another podium finish for you, your 10th podium of the season now. Perhaps you're struggling with the tyres though in the second half of the race?
Yeah, this probably has been my luckiest second place in my life because a lot of riders crashed that could finish in front of me. Because you struggle so much to get the best setup and everything is good all the weekend, but on the race you get the wrong tire and then it's impossible to fight for a good position. Probably with normal tire I could stay with Mark and try to win the race, but it was impossible. So it happened to Valentino in Austin, happened completely the same problem to me here, and you have to accept it and try to be good in Malaysia.
Very well done, thank you, Jorge. Second 1-2 finish of the season for the team, and the Yamaha 1-2-3 as well. Bradley, congratulations, welcome to the top 3 press conference interviews. You started 4th on the grid then, really strong qualifying yesterday. First MotoGP podium, you kept yourself out of a number of incidents that were going on. Difficult race, but great result.
Yeah, it's a crazy result really for me. At one point in the race I was going backwards pretty fast. I got a good start. I felt pretty good at the front, but I made some massive mistakes in the beginning of the race. I think just getting a little bit too excited, and then slowly I started to calm down. Then I was nearly in the incident with Stefan and Aleix. That was really close. And then obviously just put my head down, was trying to put a a good pace together, and both my teammate and Cal ended up crashing in the same spot right in front of me. So I come across the line. I didn't even realise I was third. I went round the first corner and it was only Valentino and Jorge there. So I looked on the big screen and realised I was third. So yeah, incredible feeling. Big thanks to my team for believing in me, keeping me for not only for this year but also for next year as well, and also Yamaha for all their help and support.
Bradley, Jorge, Valentino, very well done. MotoGP continues then with the penultimate race of the season, round 17 in Malaysia next weekend.
So there we go. What a day we've had in Australia. Congratulations to Valentino Rossi, his 250th MotoGP race, and he's won here at Phillip Island.